We're already doing good stuff. You don't need all new stuff. I heard that. Round of applause, snaps, positive. Just checking, just checking. Well, this solution set is an interesting one for us to bring to the table. This is about bridging the college to career gap through mentorship and foundational 21st century skills. I'm pleased to introduce our next solution to the stage. Please take a moment to welcome Kilsys Payamps-Roure, the founding executive director for Braven in New York City. Round of applause to say hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to make sure that I know how to use this clicker. I'm showing my untech savvy skills. Nope. There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Kilsys Payamps-Roure. Like Greg said, I am the founding executive director for Braven in New York City. So in America, each year there's 1.3 million low-income first-generation students that enroll, but only 900,000 graduate and secure strong opportunity. 900,000. These are students that bought into the narrative that as long as you go to college, you're on the path to the American promise and income equality. But that's not the case. They've done everything right. They've earned the right to compete, but they're really facing significant challenges that it doesn't allow them to get a role that's worthy of the degree. And also, they're often overlooked in the workforce development space. So while a college degree is still the surest path to social mobility, upward economic social mobility in this country, underrepresented students, so that's students who are first generation, students who identify as a person of color, and students who come from low-income backgrounds, they often need additional career preparation that their wealthier peers just have more access and exposure to. So at Braven, we've identified 4 gaps that we help our students close. So the first gap is skills, right? Key preparation to those 21st century skills that we know employers are looking for. These are skills that students are expected to have mastered, but they're just not taught. The second gap is battling stereotype and imposter syndrome, which really impedes the confidence that they need to thrive in a strong first job. But again, they are expected to understand and be able to leverage their personal assets, but they're not really taught how to do that. The third gap is access to professional experiences. So employers look for internships as a gauge of career readiness, yet underrepresented students, first generation students, they often don't have access to these experiences. And to put this in perspective, at large public universities, students who are first generation are 13% less likely to have internships than their peers. And then the last gap that we help to close is those networks, that social capital. Our students often lack access to the network of people who will mentor, who will endorse them, and who will open up those professional opportunities. So these 4 gaps, they all tie together. Mentorship can help students gain and expand their networks. Via those networks, they're more likely to learn of opportunities, which will help them continue to develop those 21st century skills that employers are looking for. And then honing those skills and gaining those experiences really helps to lift up their confidence. So here in New York City, we're seeing these gaps play out. In New York City, 68% of the population identifies as a person of color. But yet in a high growth industry like finance, managerial roles isn't reflective of that. Only 6% of managerial roles are held by someone that identifies as Latinx, and 7% of the roles are held by someone that identifies as Black. So we have all this talent in our own backyard here in our own city that is just not being tapped into. So Braven is a national not-for-profit. And like I mentioned, maybe I didn't mention this, but I have the honor and the privilege of serving as the founding executive director for Braven here in New York City. So we partner up with universities and with employers in order to support underrepresented students from college to career. We are embedded within higher ed as a 3-credit course, during which our students that we call fellows are empowered with the skills, with the experience, with the confidence, and with the networks, that social capital that is needed in order for them to transition from college to a strong economic opportunity. So these are the 21st century skills that we focus on: self-driven leading, problem solving, operating and managing, networking and communicating, and working in teams. These are skills that students are likely not going to learn in an accounting class, in a sociology class, in a psychology class, but they're needed in order for them to navigate and to succeed in the workplace. So these competencies that I just went over, they're woven into all facets of the Braven program. And then additionally, across the whole Braven experience, partnerships with employers really play a key role in fueling it with the volunteers that are necessary in order to provide mentorship and open up doors of opportunities for our fellows. So these volunteers include roles such as the leadership coach. The leadership coach is the main facilitator throughout the 15-week course in a college setting, and also roles like professional mentor, which are people that volunteer in order to coach our fellows once they take the course. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of how we embed 21st century skills and also mentorship throughout the course. The first part of the course is Design Your Career. So we help fellows create their own core value story. The importance of this is that they're often told what their story is, as opposed to them deciding the story that they want to tell, right? So too often people try to write our story based on things like race or income bracket or language that we speak. They're making assumptions about us. But by telling their own stories, fellows can take back that narrative and determine how others understand who they are. And by knowing who they are and telling their story, fellows practice skills employers are looking for, like authentic leadership, like communication. During the second part of the course, which is called Hustle to Career, fellows work on those key artifacts that are really necessary when they're going out, they're looking for internships and for jobs. So they're working on their LinkedIn profile, their cover letter, their resume, and so forth. And then they later put all these things to use as they apply for jobs, internships, and as they network. We also host a mock interview night where fellows practice their interviewing skills. This is a real high return and low stakes environment for them. They get to engage with local volunteer professionals. They get to incorporate the feedback immediately when it comes to interviewing. And they're opening up the networks by engaging with these professionals, which is really important. The last piece of the course is the capstone challenge. So by the end of this, fellows get to practice all of those 21st century skills that I spoke about before. They participate in a design thinking exercise that's called the capstone challenge. They solve a real world business problem that a local company poses. So throughout the 5 weeks, students take roles within a group, which is really key, right? Because it's a role, this is similar to how you would engage on a team and take roles when you're working on a project at work. So it talks to them being able to have an experience that would help them on their career journey. So it allows them to practice their leadership, the problem solving, the networking and communicating, the operating and managing, and working in teams. Students then present their solutions before a panel of judges that includes the sponsor organization. And this is also another opportunity for them to tap into networks, right? Because they're actually engaging with the sponsor company. So some of our capstone sponsors have been WW, otherwise known as Weight Watchers, CIBC, Brooks Brothers. So this is really an amazing opportunity for them to tap into these networks. This past school year alone, nationally at Braven, there have been 1,700 volunteers that have contributed over 23,000 hours. Here in New York City, we've had 324 volunteers that have contributed more than 4,000 hours. This is fantastic because these are mentors that are opening up their networks and are also coaching our students on their path. So at Braven, we really believe that the college to career gap is a very solvable problem, although it is definitely a very big one. And we believe this because we've seen thousands of students transition from college to strong economic opportunities. In 2021 to 2022, 680 Braven fellows graduated from college. They are outpacing their peers nationally by 15 percentage points within 6 months of graduating from college. So what that means is that 61% of our fellows got a strong first job or got into grad school within 6 months of graduating versus 46% of their peers that are in other public universities. And then what's also really key to note is that 55% of Braven graduates about earning their parents within their very first job out of college. To put this in perspective, by age 30, most Americans have about a 50-50 shot about earning their parents. So whether you are an employer, a college or university, an individual, we can really help to level the playing field for our talented young people. Together, and really with great intentionality, we can close the wealth and opportunity gap that exists not only in the United States, but right here in our own backyard, in our city, in New York City. So thank you so much for allowing me to share on how Braven is helping to solve the college to career gap.